call to order, council meeting for the corporation of the township of Brudenell, Lindau, and Raglan for Wednesday, December the 1st, year 2021 at approximately 7:03, excuse me, PM. Before we start tonight, we have Andrew Sprunt joining us. He is acting as municipal manager for E4M, representing the municipality. Before I go on, I have one other thing. I'd like to call a moment of silence. Of course, before I begin, I'd asked that we all remember Dwight and Desmond Quad, who recently passed away. Desmond served for many years, even pre-amalgamation, as a councillor. The chair of the Physician Recruitment Committee, Jane Dumas, prepared this statement to be part of the Physician Recruitment Committee meeting minutes. Desmond was one of the original members of the then Joint Municipal Physician Recruitment Committee, as being formed in the fall of 2006. He was a representative from the municipality. It was evident from the very beginning that Des was a gifted mathematician and that he could look at a financial spreadsheet and have the whole financial, picture in a matter of minutes. His questions and observations and all aspects were respected and sought out by his fellow members as they enhanced the work of the committee. He was respected by all his colleagues. Desmond continued his work with the committee as a community representative after he left municipal service and up until his death. We are saddened by his death and extend our sincere condolences to his friends and family. So with that being said, I would ask anybody to stand for a short moment of silence if they're able. Okay, thank you. Okay, so the next order of business is we have a resolution. And the resolution says that council amends the agenda to remove item 1 from the closed session. I need a mover on that. Councillor?
Item 1?
Yes, item 1 on the closed session.
Okay.
So I have a mover on that, Councillor.
I will move Caldwell.
Okay, Councillor Kaufman. A seconder. Councillor Rutledge. Discussion, if any. Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Yes.
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 Trevor?
Yeah, sorry, yes.
Okay, thank you. And that is carried. Okay, so I'll, excuse me, I missed roll call. Councillor Budrich. Councillor Kaufman.
Here.
Councillor Licky.
Here.
Councillor Rutledge.
Here.
Okay. Disclosure of interest on anyone with the matters before us tonight.
None.
Okay. Seeing none, adoption of the minutes. That we, the council for the township of Brudenell, Lindau, and Raglan, hereby adopt the minutes of the regular council meeting of October the 27th, 2021, special meeting of November the 3rd, 2021, and regular council meeting November 3rd, 2021, as printed and circulated. I need a mover on that, Councillor. Councillor Whitby.
Second.
Councillor Rutledge. Discussion of any errors, omissions. Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Carried. Okay, so we have no deputations, no reports. We're down to item 6.1 correspondence. That is for information for purposes and to respond to the past question. Any further questions can be directed through the clerk if they wish at the next, for a discussion at the next meeting. Okay. So then I have a resolution that says to accept the correspondence as circulated. Any mover on that, Councilor Rutledge? Seconder,
I can second.
Councilor Buckle? All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Trevor?
Yeah, sure.
Carried. Okay, so we're down to item 7.1. Okay, so the resolution says the council resolved to temporarily suspend the portion of the procedure bylaw related to the agenda, and specifically item number 7, payments, and replace it with financial reports on all future meetings until such a time as a new procedure bylaw is adopted. I need a mover on that. Councilor?
I will move because I think that's what we're gonna have to do for now.
Councilor Caulfield? Seconder?
Sorry.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Councilor Lickey? Discussion of any? Okay, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Yeah, Carrie? Anything in relation to that? Oh, that's all included in the procedure? Okay, and also within that, there's information report to council. So, so now we are down to severances, item 8.1, Adrian Mesner. Okay, and the resolution says that the townships of Brunel, Linddock, and Raglan approve the land severance application B-130/21 from Adrian Mesner for creation of one new lot with the following condition. All the conditions as listed in the County of Brantford Planning Report concerning this division of land. I need a mover on that. Councilor? Councilor Rutledge? Seconder, Councilor Lickey. Discussion if any. Yes, Andy.
If I may, Your Honor, the word "to," which is on the second sentence, should be 110, which changes the context. And on the, under number 8, it says the severance is too severe.
Oh, yes.
It's to sever.
Oh, to sever. Thank
So
you.
just to be clear for council,
Sure. Okay.
because it has 2 different meanings.
Yes, it does. Thank you for that, Andrew. So any other questions? If not, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Yes.
No, it's carried. Bylaws. Item 9.1. So just for clarification, Andrew, do I read the bylaw or you staff?
It's at your wish, Your Honor. Your worship. It's normally done by the mayor in my case, but we've done it. So
Okay, no, I'm fine. Okay, so being a bylaw to authorize entering into an agreement with Image Advantage Solutions Inc. for the purposes of scanning certain township documents. I need a mover on that. Councilor Crawford. Seconder, Councilor Rutledge.
Yes. Minute to move that to.
Okay, so the bylaw as read the first and second time this first day of December 2021, read a third time passed this first day of December 2021. Discussion then?
So is this like a new agreement? Or
No, this is the same.
same ones we always
that we
said?
looked at before with Beverly.
Okay. And this is just the bylaw to.
To enter
To go in,
agreement.
okay.
No other questions? I'll ask for the vote. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Perfect. Yep. Okay. Carried. Item, we're down to other business, item 10.1. Royal Canadian Legion of Ontario Command has requested our support in the 2022 edition of the Military Service Recognition Book. See attached letter. So, in honoring, the council wishes to support, I have a resolution that we, the council for the township of Brunel and Knocker Raglan, hereby approve the cost of $290 for a business-sized advertisement in the 2022 Military Service Recognition Book from the Royal Canadian Legion, Ontario Command. I need a mover on that.
I will move. It's
Councillor
something we've done every year.
Second.
Second, Councillor Lidkey. All in favor?
Yes.
Carried. Item 10.2, procedural bylaw. I know council had this the last time. Did they review? Any comments?
Mrs. Young, has been requested that any comments or concerns regarding the bylaw be emailed to her at solutions@equine.com. And she will address them.
So any comments, then just email.
So did
I will
you-
provide you with an email on this.
Okay, this thing, yeah, no, so any comments you have, I guess, in regards to the council procedural bylaw, the new bylaw that we wish to adopt. And that would also go for the expected conduct policy. If you wish to make any comments, please submit them to,
I'll provide you with the email address after the meeting.
okay, yeah,
And we had that the last meeting.
yes,
Yes, yes.
yes, so. Okay. Okay, there's no other question, okay. So item 10.4, Kenworth garbage truck recommendation report attached. I'm gonna hand this over to Andrew.
Thank you. So you have a report that you probably, some of you read
Mhm.
on the replacement of the truck. So I do have quite a background with solid waste. So it was interesting when I started looking at this with Tammy. Presently, the truck that you have that has to be repaired is a 32 cubic yard compactor truck. In reviewing the tonnages and the loads that are taking that truck, it's never carried 32 cubic yards. And that truck will hold the equivalent of probably 80 yards of material. So, you know, one of the first red flags is you're replacing a truck that you're not using the capacity of the truck anyway. And staff have found that the cost estimate on repairs, they could only find one mechanical shop that can repair the truck, was $40,000 in the estimate. You would be putting $40,000 into that truck. Do you put more into refurbish the truck so you don't have any other problems? So, the direction from council at the last meeting, I believe, was not to spend any more money on the truck. So to come up with a solution, we looked at basically 10 different options and came back with one that seems to be the best option. So just to put things in a nutshell, we looked at replacing the truck, repairing the truck. We looked at having another service provider. We looked at changing the type of truck from a a compactor truck to a front loading truck, which would be able to possibly do your recycling bins in the future, but you'd have to buy bins to do to the waste. We also looked at a roll-off truck, and that's a truck that picks up bins, and you have 3 bins at your sites that you've had from staff. They haven't been used for 17 years, I believe. Is what I got. It doesn't matter if it's 10 years or 17 years, it's still a long time.
Yeah.
So when we looked at everything, one of the issues that's in the report with a front loading truck is it's a specialized piece of equipment. And with the garbage compactor truck that you have, if it breaks down, you can put your garbage in a dump truck if you have to. When your bins are all converted to front loading bins and your truck breaks down, you have to call somebody that has a front loading truck to pick it up. The problem with that is they're the contractors that you just sent away. They're not going to be really that happy and to be able to come to you. So you probably are going to pay a premium if they're available. With all garbage type trucks, your compactor truck has some moving parts. It has some hydraulic cylinders and it has some solenoids. Your front loading truck has more. When we looked at a roll-off truck, and I'll explain a roll-off truck, it has basically either one big cylinder or a couple of fair-sized cylinders. So it doesn't have as many parts as some of the other trucks. What the roll-off truck does, it's a bin system where you drop a bin. You can do a 25-yard bin, a 30-yard bin, a 40-yard bin at your site. And I have visited one of your transfer sites, and it's compatible with a roll-off truck. So basically, you drop the bin at the site or and keep the truck there, or use the truck for other purpose. When you're a small municipality, you don't have a lot of extra money. And to put all your money into a garbage truck that has only one use, that's a big chunk of money. A roll-off truck can have many uses. You can put a flat deck on it, you can put a water tank on it, you can put a dump box on it. There's all kinds of things you can do with a roll-off truck. You could also clean it, which is a problem with garbage trucks, getting into a truck and cleaning on the rails. So if council's looking at replacing the truck, what we're suggesting is that you go to a roll-off truck because there's more value to your dollar there. It's easy to buy a truck and easy to find a truck that's $20,000, $30,000. But are you just getting into what you had before? So we're recommending to look for a truck that's a little newer. And to pay for that, you're going to have to pay for it. Even a truck that's 10 years old, that's a garbage truck because they run every day, is going to have about $500,000 or $600,000 kilometers. You're not going to get the truck with 120 kilometers. You're not going to find that. So what we're recommending is that staff be authorized to start soliciting quotations for a truck and looking to be under $120,000. And that there be pre-budget approval for the next year. In saying all that, and even passing the resolution, council still gets another kick at the can. Garbage truck in this case. Because once you get the quotations, you can say, well, that's too high for us, or it's something we don't want to do. So I'll let the council discuss this. You can ask me questions. The report covers a lot of things, including training for the staff, because there's ways to improve your compaction at the landfill.
Definitely one thing that in our municipality with 3 sites, you'll never use that truck for anything other than a garbage truck. That's guaranteed, because you can't be on a road project when it's needed and needed at the dump, because you're going to coincide with times.
So the one, just to answer the mayor, to answer the council's question, with the roll-off truck, the truck doesn't have to be at the site on the day of that you're doing the garbage.
Yes, I realize that, yeah.
So you could use the truck for other purpose. Does the truck have to come back to the transfer site? Yes, the truck has to come back to the transfer site at some point. Do you have transfer sites that you operate every day and there has to be a truck there every day? No, there's going to be a time for that truck that will be sitting. So if you're going to spend a large amount of money on a truck, looking at a truck that even if you don't utilize it to its fullest, you do have the option of being able to go somewhere with it. You
So-
also have the ability to go further in that you someday may want to do your recycling too.
So this is just a question, and I don't know, like you said, you have an extensive background in that area. When garbage is not compacted, how much more are we gonna use in our site versus what we compacted in our truck?
So through the mayor, it's a great question, and I actually teach landfill. So, or anyways, I actually teach landfill operations. When you have a compactor truck, and your compactor truck, as we talked about, isn't really doing, its job. But if you have the roll-off truck, you have a full bin at the transfer site. By the time you shake that bin and take it to the landfill, you've already compacted it a little bit. But what's going to happen at the landfill, you're dealing with only wet garbage, and wet garbage is your bag garbage. It's fairly easy to compact, and it can be compacted very, very well. But anything that you lose in the truck that you're only minimally compacting, you will gain by better procedures at your landfill. And just as an example, when I was looking back at some of your minutes, there was a time, I think it was last year, you were talking about too much cover being used. And that is one of the big things in landfill. When I teach my course, and I've worked at landfills and taught landfills and been operating. What I saw when I read that thing was, well, why would you just take the cover off the next morning? Because you have a dozer on site. You just doze the cover off and you start again. So there's all kinds of techniques that you can do to maximize your landfill. And cover and compaction are your two things. You also get C&D, construction demolition material. If you put the construction demolition material on top of your wet garbage, it helps you with the amount of cover that you have to use, especially for bears, because now you put something on top. The bears aren't going to eat the plywood, they're eating the garbage. So you get something on and compact. So there's lots of things that the operator can do to extend the life of your landfill. And and I haven't even seen your landfill, but because it's everywhere, that compaction world, you will get more compaction at your landfill if you put your operators through training. And we do have that recommended in the report. There's a training course in January. It's like $481. That you will save thousands of dollars by sending an operator to that if the operator follows through those practices.
Getting back to the capacity of our original truck. At the time, I was on council, been here for many years. We bought that truck with the anticipation that it would make less trips. That's why we bought the capacity we bought.
And
So I wouldn't say that it never went with a full load because it was to go to 3 sites and then go and dump and do whatever. So just to answer your question as to why we had that capacity of a truck, that was the thinking at the time.
yes, and through the mayor, by the numbers, it didn't appear that's what's been done.
Yeah, and being that the compactor is broke right now, we're not compacting garbage anyway, we're taking it to the dump truck, so. Okay, any other council questions?
I have another question. Are we allowed to put that waste to
Andrew?
Andrew? Sorry, that
Demolition?
demolition material, are we allowed to put that in with our wet garbage?
So through the mayor,
I like the idea,
at
but didn't know if we were allowed.
and then I just want to clarify, so at the transfer site, you can only take the wet garbage.
Yes.
But at the landfill, if you accept C&D, then yes, you can mix them.
Yeah.
And we don't have a lot of time to talk about it, but there's lots of things that you can do. And, basically operators are trained to leave a pile of C&D here. So at the end of the day, they just rolled over and compacted into the wet garbage.
Yeah.
Because garbage compaction is about interlocking things and pushing it together. So it's like making an Oreo cookie, the filling is really soft and they got the hard on the bottom, hard on the top. What you want to do is mix it all together and you have a smaller package.
So I'm gonna bring the conversation back to the replacement of the compactor. we're kind of wasting time talking about compacting here, we're going to get back to the issue at hand. So as far as replacing that vehicle, does council have any more questions?
Well, I kind of like the idea of the roll-off truck.
Yeah.
For the simple reason that there are options you can use it for example, moving a bulldozer around or, you know, deck for it or whatever. You know, which now is a problem, I guess, for us to do that. But, and there's a lot less moving parts to repair,
Yes.
if it'll work for us. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the roll-offs worked for us before when we had Bowman's, right? I mean, they
Well,
took the recyclables, of course, they didn't take the garbage, but.
So that's my other concern. I don't know how straight up these things dump these roll off. If they go up high enough to dump properly, maybe Trevor, you know, or you know.
So through the mayor, you can dump very well with the roll off. The other thing you can do, other than you can't do with a dump truck, is you can move your bin up and down and shake it.
That's right.
So it is something that you can dump with some non-accuracy, but more ability to get put out in the bin, so even if it's frozen, you can push it out.
Are they a side dump or a end dump?
And
And
You have the
All sounds
bin.
good.
so the resolution I have before me then that says that council accepts the report on the compactor truck. And the council directs staff to solicit quotations for the purchase of a used roll-off type truck not to exceed $120,000 and further that pre-budget approval in the 2022 budget be granted for this purpose. I need a mover on that. Counselor, Counselor Rutledge. Seconder, Counselor Lippy. We've already had discussion. I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
And that's here. Okay, so that ends the open part of our meeting. Right now, we have to go into closed. The resolution says that council will in closed session pursuant to the Municipal Act 2001, Section 239. Number 1 is subsection E, litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board related to A, court decision, Brunel and Dockland, Ragland, Integrity Cable Commissioner versus Councilor Goodrich by Justice James Cost Submissions. B, Goodrich judicial review application of council's decision requesting the resignation. C, Goodrich appeal application of Justice James decision. D, Goodrich request for stay of Justice James order to vacate your seat to be heard December the 3rd, 2021. Number 2, subsection F, advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose. I need a mover on that.
I can.
Councilor Guffaw. Seconder,
I'll second.
Councilor Rutledge. All in favor?
Yes.
I don't understand this well enough to. These decisions, so what are we actually doing here?
So we'll be discussing that in close. This is-
Oh, okay,
this
so-
is- this
so-
is- This is just describing what we'll be discussing in close.
Okay,
So.
no problem.
No problem. John?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so we will be going into close. That's carried. To anybody that's listening, we will be going into the waiting room. I expect it to be a lengthy discussion, so I don't know of a time that we'll be back, but if you wish, you can stay on the line. So. Okay, so a resolution for me that council comes out of closed session at approximately 8:20 p.m. Any mover on that? Councilor Lippy,
I'll second.
Councilor Rutledge, All in favor?
Yes.
And that's carried. So during closed, council considered and received advice from the solicitor regarding the following matters. Number one, subsection E, litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board related to. Item A, court decision, BLRIC versus Council of Brunswick by Justice James, cost submissions. Item B, Goodrich judicial review application of council's decision requesting her resignation. Item C, Goodrich appeal application of Justice James' decision. Item D, Goodrich request for stay of Justice James' order vacator seat to be heard December the 3rd, 2021. And number two, subsection F, advice of a subject to solicitor client privilege, include communications necessary for that purpose. So resulting from that closed meeting, I have a resolution that says, whereas Councilor Budrick was found to have breached the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act and her seat ordered to be vacated for the remainder of this term of council by Justice James in his decision dated November 22nd, 2021, with an effective date of November the 28th, 2021. Councilor Budrick has appealed the decision of Justice James and brought an urgent motion to stay the decision vacating your seat. The motion was originally heard November the 26th, 2021. The Integrity Commissioner opposes the stay and has instead suggested that council be ordered not to fill the vacancy created by Councilor Budrick's removal until such time as appeal has been heard or finally disposed of. A temporary stay of the decision to vacate was issued by Justice Bell on November the 26th, 2021, until December the 3rd, 2021, when Councilor Budrick's motion for a stay will be heard on its merits. Justice Bell raised a concern during the motion hearing on November the 26th, 2021, that the township did not have notice of the proceedings, and a copy of her endorsement has been provided to and reviewed by the township's council. Council has been provided with a copy of the notice of appeal and all of the motion materials filed with the court to date in relation to both Councilor Budrick's appeal and with respect to the motion to stay the order of Justice James. Council has considered the serious nature of the breaches by Councilor Budrick of the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act set out in the Integrity Commissioner's report and found by Justice James. And the township is concerned that should Councilor Budrick continue to participate on council pending the determination of her appeal, council's decisions during that period will be subject to challenge if her appeal is unsuccessful, because that result would see her seat having been vacated while she purported to occupy it. Therefore, be it resolved that council for the township confirms that it has received service of the notice of appeal, notice of motion for a stay, the Integrity Commissioner's responding materials, and the endorsement of Justice Bell. Council for the township confirms that they oppose the motion for a stay. Council for the township takes the position that a vacancy created by a judicial order under section 259 1F of the Municipal Act 2001 may be subject to such terms as may be imposed by the court, including that the court may order that the vacancy not be filled until such a time as any appeal thereof is finally heard and determined. Moreover, council for the township takes the position that section 11(2) of the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act provides the divisional court with broad discretion to make any order that ought to be made at first instance, including modifying the order being appealed from on a stay motion to protect the vacancy until the appeal is finally heard and determined. Council for the township hereby commits to take notice of and be bound by any order prohibiting the township from filling Councilor Budrick's vacancy until her appeal to the divisional court is finally disposed of. Council for the township consents to be bound by an order amending or clarifying Justice James' order as part of the court's inherent jurisdiction pursuant to the provisions of the Courts of Justice Act to issue a stay of an order subject to such terms as the court may impose. Township supports any form of an order that will prohibit Councilor Budrick from participating in council meetings as a member of council. So do I have a mover on that? Councilor?
I will move.
Councilor Coughlan? Seconder?
I'll second it.
Councilor Rutledge? Discussion of any? If none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Yes.
I'm gonna just stay neutral here, so.
So with that, myself also in favor, that is carried. Okay. So I confirm in bylaw, being a bylaw, to confirm the proceedings of the council of the corporation of Township of Reno, Lake Raglan, and its regular council meeting on December 1st, 2021. Read a first and second time this first day of December 2021, read a third time it passed this first day of December 2021. Moved by Councilor Koffa. Seconded by,
Adjournment?
no, just
Oh, sorry.
confirm the proceedings.
Yeah.
Councilor Lippy. All in favor?
Yes.
Okay, that's carried. Okay, so that being said, we have that this meeting adjourned at approximately 8:28 PM. Moved by Councilor Licky. Seconded by Councilor Rutledge. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes, yes. And this meeting is adjourned. Hey.
Anybody want to say?